Good evening, and welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the Think Show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find his way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous One. And thank you guys again for tuning in to part two of today's podcast. Soapbox. Soapbox is when a person, you remember you saw Malcolm X and all those brothers in the Bronx standing on top of their soapbox, giving information to the community that wasn't otherwise given. So we're going to attempt to do that tonight, and showing us or helping us along in that endeavor is Nicole. Nicole, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Carrie. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing very well. I'm glad to have you with us.
Thank you. I haven't been on here for a minute, but I kind of felt the need today.
Okay, well, you're always welcome. And what is the reason you're here for today?
Well, I wanted to talk about some of the dynamics within our collective community that deal with the self-hate that's perpetuated against each other. I really want to, discuss it and kind of get some ideas and discuss it in depth of why we're so maniacal towards each other. I mean, because it's not getting us anywhere. And I just want to kind of pinpoint some things that I noticed because I'm out in the public in Vegas all day long and I work in the cannabis industry. So I see a lot of things going on that you normally wouldn't see. So I just kind of want to gain a better understanding from the audience as well as yourself as to why it is that we cannot build together. Why is it that we feel like we can't share a spotlight? There has to be one person who feels that they always have to be right. They always have to be the person that, like the head, as they would say, the head nigga in charge. There's no way that we're able to basically be able to rule as a collective or to build as a collective. If we're not the main person, we want to criticize others harmfully. We want to hurt other people's emotions and feelings. We're very egotistical. And I just kind of want to, kind of get a better understanding of it, because I think, for one, that today when I was in the chat, there was some things that were said that kind of went another way. And I really want to address this whole thing in a forum so we can gain a better understanding, and maybe going forward, we'll be able to build better.
Well, Nicole, like she said, she works in the cannabis industry. And the other day, she shared with me what these cats are making in the cannabis industry. And everybody knows my thoughts on the African American. They're just dumb. It is nothing. It's not being mean. It's not being nasty. That's just how it is. And this is what I mean. So she sent me something about how much these cats are making, just growing it while we're watching a TV program or watching the football game. These cats are making millions off of us while we just sit around and do what she says we're doing. So we're definitely going to talk about that. But think about this. Why is it that what we've been taught, or what we think we've been taught in school? Because I'm sorry, if you went to high school, you came out of high school, you're basically an idiot. So am I. Because they taught nothing. You wonder why all these boys are messed up? Because when they were being taught to be an idiot, we just pushed them right back into being an idiot. Mm-hmm. We didn't say to ourselves, wow, when I went to school, the same problems were going on. We didn't say that. We just pushed these kids and going to be stupid the rest of their lives. So that's why they're pissed off. So, Nicole, the floor is yours.
Okay. So, first of all, let's talk about the cannabis industry thing that you had just brought up. I have been, as well as my son, because we both work in the industry, we have been trying to gain support from our collective in order to start a facility. within the cannabis industry, especially with the company that I work for, they get orders for flower that we package and put into jars and we send out, and they get orders for $65,000 per order. This is off of a little tiny little seed that is no bigger than the white part on your pinky, the little nail part, and they're growing fields and fields and fields of this and making lots of money. So initially, when I first started coming onto the show, I had started talking about cannabis and stuff like that because I thought it would be something that would be viable for our community, since the plant does come from us and we used it medicinally to be able to, get a grow going, start maybe a dispensary and so forth. And all I got was chirp chirp criticism, weeds bad and all this and all that. But it's making everybody else money. And I see investors come in with millions, come in just, okay, we want to grow a new strain, we want to do this, we want to do that, and we're creating new sodas and candies and products and this that, and the other. Meanwhile, we're sitting there twiddling our thumbs. And I know what it takes in order to be able to start one. I know what it takes to be able to run one, and I know what it takes to be able to get investors. And I'm, more than open for anyone who has any ideas towards it or whatever, because it's something that would bring a lot of industry and positions and jobs within our collective. And with the fact that it's going legal in every state while COVID is being the main thing, cannabis can be grown medicinally in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and other states as well, Illinois. And we're sitting here twiddling our thumbs, not being a part of this green rush because we're so busy focusing on the vaccine, of course, which is, a major thing right now. But we're also focusing on the self-hate that we perpetuate against each other. And I want, like I said earlier, I really want to gain an understanding as to why we're like this, because of the fact is that we should be able to communicate effectively. And that's one thing that I'm sorry that we don't do. We'll criticize each other publicly. We'll put each other on so-called Front Street publicly and laugh at it and think it's funny. And meanwhile, our counterparts are, when they have an issue, it might hit the media, the news, but believe me, you don't know all the facts. And when they turn that TV off or they turn those cameras off, they go behind closed doors. They're laughing at us. We're a laughing stock. I want to understand why we don't have any grocery stores, why we don't have any gas stations, why we don't have anything like Walmart. I mean, we're spending $76 billion everywhere else. Why aren't we spending it within our own communities? Why aren't we building up our own communities? Why did Flint go so long without water? And I'm part of this community as well. I'm part of this collective. And I'm sure there are things like, me finding out about my land in Mississippi, which I just recently found out about because of my daughter Jaden doing the work on it. But I want to gain a better understanding on why we're so petty towards each other and what we should do to stop it, because it's not getting us anywhere but in circles. We look like dogs chasing their tails. And I want some feedback. I want some understanding on why it is that we're this way, because I don't appreciate being attacked by anyone. You can talk to me, and I'm hoping that I can talk to you as well, because we're supposed to be mature adults, and our behaviors are emulated by our children. And then when your children don't listen to you or show you any respect and you wonder why, look in the mirror. Look at how petty you are. Look at the things you do. Take accountability for your actions, because that's also something that we seem to be completely evasive of. So, with that being said,
I totally get where you're coming from, because I see it all the time. Because the support part, I can't even believe it. We feel proud going, making sure everybody's supported but ourselves. It's kind of like it's a self-sabotage. And then we had this asshole attitude about being like that. What do you see from your point of view as being a mother, as being out, because you're in an international city? How do you see it going? You talked about a lot of these foreign people are coming over here. They open up their own supermarkets. Down here in Atlanta, down here they have something called it's a place, where do you go, everybody go shopping for like fresh food and stuff, and all these nations are bringing their fresh food up
Mm-hmm.
to sell
Mm-hmm.
in these places, and we just go in there and buy.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that. We don't do that around the country. And
No, we.
it seems like we feel better making sure that other people, we support other people. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't really don't care what people look. I'm highly embarrassed. So I just want to know, as a mother, as a sister who's out there in the industry, who's working and see this type stuff, what does it look like to you?
Well, for one, it looks like everybody else is building their communities up and building up their communities, their medical care, their weaponry. Believe me when I say weaponry, I've seen this. They're building up they have warehouses for emergencies. And like for example, I'll use Chinatown and Koreatown here in Vegas. You go, I do Instacart shipped, the gig work, and I go shopping for other people, as you know how Instacart and stuff works. Well, they have a store here called 99 Cent Market. It is nothing but Asian foods. Nothing. They have everything. So anyone who would come here from any part of Eurasia, Asia, India can go to this store and get everything that they could get at home, because these people have made sure that their collective is going to be comfortable on our land. So that's the first thing that I see. And then when you go into the store, luckily for some reason, a lot of people take to me right away. But I have seen some Chinese people be really, really, really nasty to people who look like us. I mean, really nasty. But because I don't know what it is, but when I go into the store, they're always very welcoming and very nice, and and give me stuff to take home and all kinds of stuff. But I have seen it, and I've said something about it because I think it's uncouth to be that way, especially when our money is fine. When we want to spend money, it's cool. And with the fact that once again we're $76 trillion worth of economic global support, we buy everything from everybody else. So what I'm seeing is that they are setting up systems so that way when this system does shut down and everything goes haywire, because it's coming, they're going to be we're going to be reliant on everybody else, but they're going to be reliant on each other. And they keep us in a mindset that way because of the fact that they know that if we were really to put our collective minds together and work together, not be petty, not criticize publicly, because you can criticize behind closed doors. You can say, hey, you know what? After we're done, may I please have a conversation with you? We can show some respect towards each other, but we don't. We like to put each other out, like I said, on Front Street, and be very disrespectful towards each other. And sometimes I get that feeds the fuel to the fire to ignite someone to do something, but there are times when it's not necessary, and we pick the times that it's really not necessary. So what I'm seeing is everybody building up around us, and us sitting here twiddling our thumbs or picking our nose and flinging the boogers everywhere, because it's just like we're not doing anything. I mean, for one, like I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be quiet for a minute, but I was watching a movie with my son and my daughter, and an Open Door commercial came on, and I'm like, they'll buy your house for any price, send somebody to it, have them check it out, give you the best market price for your neighborhood on your house, blah blah blah, right? So I looked up who owned it. A man by the name of Eric Wu. And in 2 weeks from opening Open Door, he became a billionaire. This is a man from that's Chinese that's buying up all these homes to resell on the market for probably double what he paid for them. But these are things that are going on around us that we don't pay attention to, but we pay attention to the next episode of Power. We'll pay attention to the next challenge where people are dumbass people are walking on crates, which is an incantation, by the way, but we'll talk about that. Or actually, I believe Deborah is going to talk about that. But it's like we're allowing everyone to take what's ours, and we're gladly handing it to them. And yes, I am part of I am part of that. I have been a part of that problem. But now that I'm starting to recognize it, I'm trying to figure out ways to build and to do things like the cannabis grow. Here in Vegas, $1 trillion industry. But because people have a stipulation against cannabis use and thinking that cannabis use is just smoking a joint and being high and being aloof, that's not all it's about. That's not all growing cannabis is about. But we'll sit there and criticize each other and talk about it's not weed's not the answer or whatever the case might be, but we won't contribute to making this happen so that way you can walk away with $1 million. I could walk away with $1 million. Your grandson, you create generational wealth. We don't want to do that. We'd rather point out that her hair isn't cute or that her face is dirty or I don't like the way that she talks. But we just don't focus on the things as a community that we need to be focusing on.
So where do you think that comes from? Why do you think we're so hell bent on being that way?
I think that is a psychological effect from religion. I really do.
Can
Because
you,
the reason why I'm saying that is because the fact is that when they handed you religion, they handed you Caesar Borgia, a white version of Jesus, and they always made it seem like if you were lighter skinned or if you were white or you were better, they broke it down. They broke it down to treat you differently. They I don't know if anybody knows like about the caste system that's in like South America, Brazil, in India. There's a caste system, but we have a caste system here too. And so that caste system basically put the lighter skinned people up on a pedestal and put the darker skinned people, which is a psychological thing, down on below. And then you had people in the community, because I remember my mom telling me this, because my mother is a beautiful dark skinned woman, or a copper colored woman, and she's beautiful, but she grew up where you so black, you so black, you so black. And so I think a lot of that has been passed down from generation to generation. And now with this generation, because like my daughter, no, you can't tell her anything about her skin complexion. That's not happening. She's proud to be copper colored. But within the generations before us, the construct was that way. And you had the good hair issues and you had the light skinned issues, and it was petty. And so I think that a lot of that comes from that.
today, 2021,
Yes.
we're still stuck in that dumb shit.
Yes. You have our men who will get online and say, I don't date dark-skinned women because, but then you turn around and they show a picture of their mom, their sister, their aunt, their cousins, they're all dark-skinned. You're like, so huh? Wait, what? I mean, I don't, who you love is who you love, but love the person for them. You don't have to love them because they are light and they look better than this person and that person. A person, the way that we are choosing our mates and stuff like that is basically petty. I mean, you're not looking at the quality of the person. You're looking at how they look, and people can be shallow when you look at them that way. So yeah, that's still happening.
Well, I kind of look at those people and I just kind of, ugh.
Yeah.
Because seriously, this dumb shit we've been doing, and it's from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's on it. I'm like, damn, dude, really?
Yeah.
And it's like this.
Right.
Uh, Not being supportive of each other. And that's everywhere. Every city you go to, like you say,
Mm-hmm.
Chinatown, a Nepalese town, a little Bangladeshi, a little Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
And these people are setting up over here, bringing what they have with them, taking our land. Well,
Mm-hmm.
receiving it because we damn sure giving it away,
Mm-hmm.
and setting up all of this stuff right in our face. And we have time to argue.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. I mean, it's just like, for one, we don't our communication skills suck. They suck. We do not know how to communicate with each other. And that reminds me, I want to do this. Earlier today, no one, I don't know if you're online, had mentioned that you have land. And I said, okay, you have land. You've been talking about you having land for a long time. So what do you want to do with the land? And basically that's what I was asking, and I didn't get a response because of the fact is that if you have land, you have assets. And see, I don't think that people are really understanding the difference with wealth. See, wealth is not money because our dollar is not worth nothing. There's no gold backing the fiat dollar anymore. The gold is gone, so our dollar isn't worth anything. How these people are wealthy is by their assets. By, like, for example, I'll use Jeff Bezos. He's wealthy because of the huge Amazon factories that he has in every state that he has people working from. That's how he was able to travel to the space station and come back, because his employees and all of us who buy stuff have supported him so he could do whatever he wants and live his best life. Meanwhile, while they're living their best lives, buying the biggest houses, doing all this stuff like that, we're focused on being racism and being shot in the street and worrying about Barbara because her weave doesn't look good, and worrying about James because his pants are sagging, and things that are not important right now. Right now, with our structure, we should be trying to come together and build. So with that being said, Noah, if you have land and you're looking to do some farming, some growing, some building houses on it, whatever, please reach out to me because I'll find answers. I have no problem with helping, but I want to make that clear that I have no problem with helping. I'm not going to do the work for you, but I'll help you. There are things that I know that I'm finding out. I'm learning along because this is a huge learning process. And anybody who's interested in building together, I'm learning as well. I'm learning, and I'm being given opportunity by my clan mother, Deborah. She's giving me opportunity to use my skills to be able to help us to get to the next level. But we need to do this together. And all that pinpointing and criticizing and all that stuff that goes on, it needs to stop because it's counterproductive. And and we have to take a chance and actually have some type of trust in each other. And that's one thing I know is we don't trust each other. We'll trust someone who doesn't look like us quicker than we'll trust each other. And
We
that's a problem.
we trust Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, and people, I know a scientist here who was like, I'm not taking the vaccine. The vaccine is made to change your DNA. I'm not taking that. And this is a wealthier white man that I was working for, cleaning houses, cleaning out his properties and stuff. And we had a long discussion, but he was like, and don't you take it either, because this is what RMA does. And he broke it all down to me. And I'm like, okay. But then you have people who look just like me and you who were around when the Tuskegee experiment was happening, the after effects of what happened, and still were like, here's my arm. Go on, shoot it up. Yeah, take me. And then you have Dr. Khalil Muhammad, as well as other doctors who are getting online saying in 2 years, you're done. In 2 years, that's it. You're over. Because, like Dr. Khalil Muhammad explained, that the tests that they ran on humanized lab rats, they lived for 2 months. 2 months in human life is 2 years. This is what Khalil Muhammad said. And you can find the video on Instagram, I'm sure, and YouTube as well, because don't just believe me. Do your own research, because I don't know everything. I just do my own research and I ask a lot of questions. So with that being said, he said that it was a 2 year time span of all these people. And so while they have all these milk crates, which are eventually going to be coffins of FEMA bodies that you're going to have to walk over, nobody's putting all of these things together. And meanwhile, while they're keeping us on the challenges, they're going to buy property, cutting down our trees, polluting our water, terraforming our land, digging in places they shouldn't be digging in. Nobody's paying attention as a huge fire portal opened in the Gulf of Mexico. All these things that are going on, earthquakes here, floods there, mud floods, all this stuff like that. And nobody's paying attention. But you got time to criticize your neighbor or someone else, and you got time to go buy hair weave. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. You got time to do a stupid ass challenge, climbing some crates where people have fell and almost died. You got time for all of that, but you don't got time to say, okay, let's put together $10,000. Let's go get a building. Let's open up a grocery store here. Okay, we're going to open that one. Now let's open one over here. Let's open one over there. Oh, you got land? Okay, well, let's start growing some watermelons. And some cantaloupes, some apples, some onions, whatever. You drive through Mexico up to Arizona, through all of this land up here, it's nothing but farms that are worked by Mexican migrants, picking artichokes, lettuce, radishes, onions, and then they have their grocery stores once again with foods that they eat. We don't have none of that. And we should be on top of this food chain, but instead we're on the bottom.
And it seems like we're comfortable.
It
We
seems
not
like it.
we're not going to be moved. I mean, this is what I'm seeing because I agree. I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, and I'm not that type of person. I mean, because this has been going on too long. So
Mm-hmm.
they're about. So what do you think is going to happen when they let all these Afghanistanians come over here?
Well, I have an issue with that, and maybe I'm looking at this differently. But you have the Taliban, who is gained control of Afghanistan. And Taliban, no matter what they say, they hate Americans. Be you brown, white, yellow, blue, you say American, they don't like you. So why wouldn't they send someone or people who over here pretending to be regular Afghani refugees that are also part of the Taliban to cause more problems on American soil? Why wouldn't they do that to get back at the Americans for all the stuff that they caused in their country? Because we went to their country. I'm not, I'm saying them as a whole. We went to their country, put our feet on their country, and told them what they're going to do in their country, like they are doing here. But we're doing it. But see, the only difference is they have courage. They'll strap some dynamite on themselves and blow themselves up and not give two fucks. We'll know, master. Please don't hit me again. Please, why'd you kill us? You killed them. They're coming for you. We don't do that. And so, with that being said, hold on, my headphones came out. With that being said, with all the Afghanis coming over here, they couldn't bring over the people from India anymore, like they wanted to initially when Kamala Harris got into office,
Why
because
not?
of because of the COVID thing and all the COVID and the black goo and whatever else and all the black funguses. They couldn't really bring them over here anymore because they're having a really bad health issue in India right now, truly bad. So now you have people who aren't really affected that much by COVID. You can bring them over, and if anybody listens to NPR radio, they're running drives to raise money for Afghani families. They're getting housing together for Afghani families. They're wanting to help the Afghani family out. Meanwhile, we're sitting here, been going through all the bullshit we've been going through since they done stepped foot on this land. And what spoon have they gave us? What have they said? Here, we'll help you. Oh no, they haven't done that. They just look at us and shoot us, do whatever they do, because when we use the words black and we use the words African American and we use the word, so forth, those are legal terms that mean we're dead. So when you're walking on Black Lives Matter, you're saying dead lives matter. You aren't saying that, they don't look at it that way, but they pretend in your face like that's what it means. No, it doesn't. Pick up a Black's Law book and you'll read what I'm saying. And, all this stuff is cast by Rome. All this stuff is coming from the Pope and the Queen. I don't care who's in office, what government is running. At the end of the day, they report back to the Pope and the Queen, and that's who runs everything.
I'm just not understanding because this is my thought on humans. We're born, we learn, we grow, and we're learning. Then we
Mm-hmm.
have children. We teach them what we've learned,
Mm-hmm.
so they can evolve and grow better and better, and just leave a trail for the generations that are to come.
Right.
I'm seeing with this African American, it's like, damn, y'all. I mean, this stuff should be simple.
Right.
It's like you saying, you were talking about earlier, the Asian banks and the Mexican grocery stores are
Mm-hmm.
just being set up in places that Negroes left in the 60s. If you go
Mm-hmm.
down south to Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia, you'll see Mexican grocery stores in the South. That's
Mm-hmm.
the most odd. That's
Yeah.
the most odd sight I've ever seen.
Right. I mean, do you know how? Okay, here's one thing with you talking about the groceries. A watermelon with seeds in it sells in the grocery store for $8. $8 a watermelon with seeds. because the ones that don't have seeds in them, by the way, if you eat seedless watermelon, have a chemical in it to cause you to be infertile if you're a male. So with that being with that being said, it's just like, a watermelon, just growing a watermelon, greens, just bringing greens on on a truck, driving them to Wisconsin, like people used to do from down south when I lived with my grandmother. People come drive from down there, come up there, make a good amount of money. But we refuse to believe in each other and help promote that and invest in our own companies. We'll invest in everything else, but we will not invest in each other to build these things. And it doesn't make any sense because they're using us to support their communities, because we shop at their grocery stores, we go to Walgreens, we go to CVS, we buy their gas, we buy I don't eat McDonald's, but for the most part a lot of people eat McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, all this stuff like that. But where's our restaurants? Where's our chains? Where's our chain of grocery stores? Where is it?
Baby, look, they got eyelashes for sale. They got
Yeah.
tennis shoes for sale. They got TV packages for sale. They got all of this non-life-giving bullshit they sell to us, and we buy it up like it's candy. And so, my thing is on all of this, because we really don't have time to mess around no more. We have no time.
Right.
Huh? Yeah,
Right.
we have no time to screw around, and that seems to be all that we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to be like one of the major focal points of what it is that we need to do. And it's just like, but when in it's, how can I put it? It's like, it's better to keep our attention on something else than to keep our attention on what we need to do.
But but do we succumb to that somebody else is doing something to us? Because I don't see it like that.
No, I don't really think that anybody is doing anything to us that we're not allowing to happen. We're partaking in it.
Right. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking, because this is how it looks like to me. So check this out. So this is my thought. So okay. So all this COVID stuff is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna check the Afghanistanians for COVID? Or are they just gonna come over here and we not gonna say nothing but what? Nobody told me. I didn't see nothing, like we always do. All this stuff going on, and if you just look at it and be like, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's happening right now. So
and the so-called African American, the so-called Black, the so-called Negro, because I'm sorry, I mean, I'm not sympathetic of it. It's like, damn, y'all, really?
Right. I agree.
So when you say the immigrants are coming in, earlier you were talking about the Asian banks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not find that weird? So that's like saying if you went over to China or you went over to South Korea or something, and you went over there and all you saw were banks open from the Negroes over here.
Mm-hmm.
First Negro bank over in China, Japan.
It's not going to happen.
I mean, but that's what it looks like to me over here, but just in reverse.
That's exactly what it is, because I bet you 9 times out of 10 that you cannot go into Chinatown and say, there's an empty building. Okay, I want to open a soul food restaurant right here. They're gonna look at you and be like, you want to open a what? Like, no, you don't want to open anything over here. In fact, go back to wherever you came from. They're not going to let us open anything in their neighborhoods. That's not going to happen. But when they come here, they get told, if you want to make money really fast, go to that neighborhood right there and open up something. They'll support you. And that's why you have Asian people selling hair in our community. You have Chinese food restaurants. You have their grocery stores and liquor stores. And don't forget, the only thing that will open up in our community is a church.
You don't know Jesus.
I know. I don't. I'm sorry. Oh well.
So with all, so let's take that group of people, and let's not just take Christians, but let's take all the other spiritual ideologies that It's so many of them. We take on everybody. And I ask brothers, brother, oh man, I'm Cherokee. And I'm like, well, what's the spiritual philosophy of the Cherokee? I don't know.
Right.
You know, I'm like, dude, you in everybody else's, but you don't even know your own.
Yeah. So we know about chakra. We chakras. Yeah. You're right. You're 100% correct.
And I'm sorry, I can't. Dude, you know all this other stuff about other people, but you haven't took 10 seconds to go find out what your great grandmama did. That's what irks me about the Negro.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's very true.
So you were saying the Asian banks,
Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah.
have go ahead.
They have Asian banks in that are only allocated for Asian people to put their money in and have their checking accounts and their saving accounts and so forth, right? In Chinatown, and even coming towards where I live at, there's one or two that are open that are Asian owned. I believe they're Chinese owned, where their people come in and that's where they save their money and provide their patronage. And it's not a problem. They opened up the bank. They got approved through the FDIC with no problem. They did all of the things that they needed to do so, but we won't do that. And then another thing is too, is that a long time ago when you had, grandma and great grandma and everybody lived in one household, because it was like that at one time. We couldn't wait. We couldn't wait to separate. We couldn't wait. I'm gonna move out. I'm gonna get my own house. I'm gonna do this. Even if you moved out, you could have even built a community where each one of you could have still had your own house. We didn't want to do that. We don't want. They do that though, because I have a friend that I work with, and his uncle works where I work, but him and his uncle live next door to each other, because one will drive to work one day, one will drive to work the other day, one will drive to work another day. They work in between, and everybody else has developed or engulfed group economics, but us.
I mean, I think one of the easiest group economics that we can participate in as a group of people, and all we have to do is watch what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So you see all these Africans coming over here.
Mm-hmm.
What they do when they make money off of you, they take that money and go build mansions back in Africa. Or
Mm-hmm.
Mexico to take what they make here and go back across the border and build mansions over here. So this is what I'm saying about the African American Negro.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You would think they're being gentrified in every city. I'm from Los Angeles, and when I talk to my friends in Los Angeles, they just shake their head because they're really embarrassed. You would think these Negroes would go back in the South where their grandparents, parents are from, and build up oases down there. Nobody's doing that, especially when they're being gentrified in their cities. What's up with that shit?
I think that it's just a level of docility that is amongst our people, because they're accepting it and not there. And then they sit there and go, I don't know what to do. Or here's a prime example of something that really kind of perturbed me. I was doing Uber when the first COVID lift came up, and everybody had got to save their stimuluses because there was a freeze on rent and all that stuff. And all these people came to Vegas. And I happened to pick up a white guy, and he was like, I have a question for you. He's like, why are all these black people here? And I just turned around and looked at him. I'm like, because they're vacationing, apparently. And he was like, no, he's just more than normal. And I was just like, it made me laugh, but it made me really look and be kind of ashamed in a way too, because you got all that money that you got from these little stimulus checks and unemployment being doubled and so forth and so on. And nobody that was here thought to say, I'm gonna save this and I'm gonna invest this in myself and open myself a business, or see if maybe anybody else wants to get in some group economics or anything like that. No, they came here to rent Ferraris and drive up and down the strip and drink and party and all that. And all that money went to waste. And now that this eviction memorandum is in and they're evicting people left and right, they don't have the money to pay their rent.
Okay, let's get a few of the quotes from the people in the chat.
Okay.
Because I like to make stuff simple. Because
Okay.
a lot of times we talk and we don't be knowing what the hell we be talking about. We just be talking, and that even brings more confusion.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get what this brother said, and this is what I want to put out there. This brother says the 5 civilized tribes are all Asian and white that are recognized by the feds. He's absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
And why that's able to go on, because this is what we do, and this is what I mean. How dumb do we have to be? And it's like, other people be saying, don't take these names that they give to you, because these names aren't what your people were. Go to where
Right.
your people are from. Like my people were down from lower Alabama. So the people that was in the area where my people grew up, they were called a Kanashaka. That's not one of the tribes, the 5 civilized tribes. Do not call yourselves those civilized tribes, because that's not you. That's pulling you even further away from your people. But in our effort not to know anything, because that's what we like to do, we like to know nothing. We won't even go check out where we're from, especially when you have all of these people from other lands coming to take over the land that your mamas and daddies left for you.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's what gets me. It's like we're content on being dumb. So
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. What'd you say, Carrie? You kind of went out.
I said it's like we're content on being dumb. It's like you say, we don't support each other.
Yeah.
We don't come up with new ideas. We don't, like, when things are going bad, we don't say, okay, this is what we need to do. Here's an example of that. With this whole COVID thing going on, all these people who are into this so-called education, we don't have no plans how to educate the children.
None.
We don't have no plan to how to feed ourselves. We don't have no plans on how to make ourselves clothes. We don't, and we have all. I mean, we talk about the educated one. Oh, I have an education. I went to Dartmouth, and I have an education. Dumb as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we keep. We like. That's the kind of stuff we put on the pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you have money, which really doesn't mean anything, because the people who have money, all they can do is buy stuff from other people. I don't get it.
Well, in the early 50s, they did studies on the Negro consumer so they could market to us to get us to buy their items. That was a major reason why a lot of the towns that we had that were viable and very wealthy were destroyed.
So this, here's what this brother says, and this is what I'm saying. This is where we get lost. Those are the elites. Those 5 tribes. They're the elite because we call them elite.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of our main problems. We call them what they tell us to call them. We don't call them what they are.
Right.
We don't never say these dudes are assholes, man. And say what they do. We join them. We join whatever they do. We're with it.
Right.
While we dog our own selves out. So this is what and American Fire, you damn right. They ain't elite. And they're the most demonic people on the planet, but we call them elite. And then to come out, well, I didn't mean like that. I knew that. Please. This is why we lose.
I mean, and then when you go like to an Indian reservation, they live in squalor. I mean, in complete squalor. They have a high fetal alcohol syndrome. They have a high fetal alcohol syndrome amongst their infants. They have a high meth and alcohol problem, as well as other drugs, crime as well. So it's not like they are being treated any better than we're being treated either. But then also look at the word civilized. If you look up the word civilized or civil, I mean, look at civil rights. They took away your human rights and threw you back civil rights. So how can you call these people? Because they're not civilized. If we're going by the meaning of civilized, of being having your shit together and all that, they're not. They're not. The reservations are garbage. I mean, they're worse than our inner cities. They're about equivalent. So there's really no, I don't even know how they could call them civilized tribes when they're not. They're not. They are shit on left and right, and they the same issues that we have in our community, they have in theirs. It's no different.
But don't you think it is? But don't you think what's going on in our communities, it's self inflicted?
Yes, I do. Because yeah, I do.
Let me just say this because
Okay.
this is the major thing. What you seeing going on in politics now with this Biden Harris thing, we were right in the middle of making those people put those people where they are now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear a word about it now, and
Mm-mm.
we were definitely in with helping make that happen. My and this is the only question I have, because this is why I don't give any credence to it, and no respect, none of that to us that does stuff. We make all this shit happen.
True. Very true.
We make all of this happen. So where are we going from here, Nicole? With I mean, okay, because this is I mean it's probably way along further along than this, but you have all these people from all these different nations coming over here,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like with these Afghanistans, they gonna have our young women working in their stores too,
Mm-hmm.
screwing them and dogging them out.
Mm-hmm.
As a mother, what do you see steps that we should be taking? What are you seeing steps as a mother that your grandchildren that you would like to see? What position would you like to see your grandchildren in?
Well, I'd like to see my grandchildren in a position where they are living their best lives and being able to do to excel in them. If they want to be, if they want to be business owners, be a business owners. If you want to have acres and acres of land, have it. If that's what go get what you want, because it's yours for the taking. And I want them to feel that that's what they can do without having to look over their shoulder or having to worry about where is food coming from, where is electricity coming from, where is water coming from. Because right now that's where we're at. We're buying bottled water. Why are we buying bottled water? Who gave these people permission to bottle the water? Where did that come from? Who to put fluoride in the water? I mean, just something that simple. I mean, no one realizes or looks at the fact that water is a living entity and we need it to sustain ourselves and live. That's just one. So I'd like for the land not to be terraformed, and for to be able to see it flourish and see my grandchildren be able to not have to suffer the consequences of our bad decisions and our the things that we have done that have caused a problem for ourselves. I'd like that to be eradicated.
Or when you say the children, and I want to make this point, and this is a very important point. When I was a kid, one of my homeboys I went to school with, met his mom, and his mom was telling me she was from Des Moines, Iowa. I'm like, Des Moines, Iowa. I heard of Iowa. It's in the middle. It's in the Midwest and stuff. But we have to remember, when we think about America as being our home, just don't think about the South and New York and Chicago and LA. We're all over this place. And
Right.
to me, that kind of helps in the deconstruction of us, because we don't have an idea. We know nothing about our ancestors. We know about Africans, we know about Romans, we know about Greeks, we know about Hebrew Israelites, but we know nothing.
Nope. We
Absolutely.
don't.
Go ahead.
Yeah. We don't even know about Cahokia. The Cahokia, which I've learned about because I've been reading and doing some research, was a viable community. Actually, one of the twin cities from the mountains in Mississippi, where there was a huge city and a community that was twinned in Cahokia, Illinois, or whatever area that is in Illinois. That was also mountains. It was a huge metro city in 1250 AD, BC, one of those, but we don't know anything about it. We don't know what was there, what it was for, why it was what it was used for, what energy we can get from there. No, because we've allowed others to go in there and take all the artifacts out, put them in museums, and now it's just there, and we just go look at it.
So the brother said,
and like serpent, the serpent him.
"Hello."
I'm here, I'm listening.
Yeah,
You said
it's so like the brother said, well, how were they able to take that from us? Like I always say, and this is the truth, we always like to play victim after we do some dumb shit.
mm-hmm,
It wasn't taken from us; we gave it to them. See, we like to see this. This is where we screw our kids up. Really,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
we'll tell our kids, uh, this happened to us. This happened. These people came over here and dogged us out. No, remember we helped.
mm-hmm.
We always help in our downfall. Then when we're down, we want to blame other people. Remember the Buffalo Soldiers?
Mm-hmm.
They helped killed out the brothers in the Midwest. So that European expansion could march across America. We did that. We went to Vietnam and helped kill those people out. And then when they come over here and take over your fish market, you got that dumbass look on your face. That war in the 80s where we went over to Saudi Arabia and Iran and Iraq and we helped kill those people out. Now they're over here in your home pimping you, and you looking with this question mark over your head like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm saying. We do dumb shit. Dumb shit. And then wonder, how did this happen? And then we'll teach your kids the opposite.
Right.
We'll teach your kids the opposite. Like you got this cat, Jesse Jackson, he in the hospital about to kick over from this COVID. Nobody brings up that he's implicated in the murder of all those civil rights people back in the day.
And yeah.
You were gonna say? Oh, are you there? So this is what I'm saying, guys. All this shit that's going on, we're gonna have to ask ourselves one question: how are our hands
Also,
dirty?
he could become famous and yeah, all so he could become famous and have that. I agree. Can you hear me, Carrie?
I can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. No, I completely agree with what you were saying because of the fact is like we want to be so included into this group of whatever's going on. We want our inclusion, but we're so afraid to step out of the norm and create our own industry when we're the industry. We're the industry. Our blood is in most of these plasma centers, except for those who have had the vaccine. They can't give blood anymore.
Are plasma centers, are they prolific where you live?
Yes, yes, they are, and they're always in areas where they have a high concentration of our people.
Man, they got more plasma centers down here than they got McDonald's restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And you should see the Negroes walking in them. The people that are walking in them are probably the when I say dumb, I'm talking about with a capital B. These cats, I'm like, dude, are you serious? I mean, and they're just in, like you said, they're just in our communities. And this is what gets me about it. The people that are going in them, yeah, they're the lowest. They don't care. They don't have no money. They broke. Blah blah blah. But you would think the so-called politicians, the church people, the clergy, all these so-called educated people. Because one thing down here in the South, they pride themselves on is education. And I'm sorry, I haven't seen it yet. Not how it should be. Yeah, you got some educated people down here, but for the most part, most of them are idiots.
Yeah.
We got these kids walking in these plasma centers, coughing it up. And when you hear what plasma consists of and what it's being used for, we have no excuse.
Oh, and even better is that the English royalty, like the Queen of England and all those people that look like they're half dead, they carry cases, like a suitcase full of blood. So because they do blood transfusions on a regular basis to keep their blood fresh. And where do you think that blood is coming from?
So this is what that. So this is what I'm saying. This is how I'm seeing it. All this stuff that's happening to us, us not being able to get along with each other,
Mm-hmm.
us dogging each other out, we'll go support anybody.
Yeah.
Most people on this line got more stuff made in their house from other countries than they made themselves. Right
True.
or wrong?
True.
See, we get stuff from other, and then we wonder, and I'm wondering, and I think I'm gonna have Deborah Oklahoma on here to tell us this. When we do that stuff, when we throw our weight and support behind other nations, what effect does that have on us in the interim? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. It takes away from our community
Yeah.
because we're financially supporting everyone else's. So we can't build anything in our community when you're supporting everyone else's. How can you? Oh, let me go. I'm gonna go to down the street to the better neighborhood to the McDonald's down there, and eat there versus going in my backyard picking my peppers and my greens and whatever else I'm growing at making a meal at home. You're taking the money out of your community and putting it in someone else's, and it's benefiting them versus benefiting you and the community you come from. It's been consistently happening since the removal of the towns and the communities and the breakdown of our families.
So listen, all we're saying is this. This is nobody's coming along to help us. Nobody's coming to be our friend.
No, Jesus is returning.
Jesus ain't coming back. Because if you think Jesus coming back for this dumb shit that we doing, you got another thought coming.
And no matter what anybody wants to believe, we're all going to be held accountable. All of us. Because we could do better than this.
It's kind of like the brother who was on earlier. And he was saying, this is our karmic debt. This is our karmic debt.
Mm-hmm.
And we better stop the bullshit, because really, all these buffer groups that they're having coming over here, because that's what they're coming on, because ever since, now that people are finding out that they ain't African, now that people are finding out that they ain't Greek, they're starting to wake up and they're starting to go back to their homes and finding out who they people are. These people know that that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
They're setting themselves up for it. That's why they're bringing that's why they're bringing the Taliban over here. The Taliban is going to do what most foreigners who come over here. They take their orders from the people who brought them over here.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even get that.
Mm-mm.
These people are being brought over here to be a buffer between you and other people. And you support that?
And everybody else knows who we are but us.
Everybody knows. So we got about 3 more minutes left. Deborah, I'm gonna give you the last. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
Thank you. Your last words. What you want to leave us with?
I basically want to say, if you guys are looking to really do something within the community, reach out to me and let's put something together and start doing something. I'm not here to criticize. I'm learning, and as well. But we need to do better. And if we don't do better, we're not going to have anything to leave our children or grandchildren. So, think about what I'm saying and start looking into some of the things that I talked about, because, like with the cannabis industry, that's happening underneath your nose. If you can look up the legal states and see where there were companies that have been in this industry for a long time are now moving to those states, because like Alabama, good soil, so you're going to get a good crop. Your cannabis that you grow or hemp is going to be amazing. So these are things to think about. Opening grocery stores, opening our own chain of whatever, healthy restaurants, whatever. But we really need to become more viable in this global economy, because right now we're like -1%.
And even if we don't do all the business that other people are doing,
Mm-hmm.
don't we have the wherewithal to come up with our own ways of doing things?
Right.
that other people, you know what? If we didn't support all the industries, they would all fail.
Exactly.
Where else in the world can you go? Where else in the world can a foreigner go open up anything, and the indigenous people of that land will buy him out of everything that he has? This is the only place that it happens.
Right. Right. You're right.
So, Nicole, I want to thank you for joining with us tonight and giving us your ideas and thoughts on what's going on, because I think it's very important. The brother we had on earlier today, he was from New York. He was giving us the view from up in New York. You're coming from Las Vegas. Las Vegas is an international city now. We
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of people coming outside of the country coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's a huge Asian market in Las Vegas.
Oh, there's a couple of them. A couple of them. Excuse
So,
me.
right. So, like I'm saying, guys, wherever you are, Virginia, Ohio, Chicago, Mississippi, Kansas City, get with your people there and really have a heart to heart with them. And all that being nice and all that stuff, we've done that for what, the past 200 years?
Yeah, that turn the other cheek thing, that ain't working no more.
And it don't work.
No.
You better be hardcore with these cats, because we don't have no way. We'll be up out of here
Yep.
and won't even be missed. We gonna look real stupid when they say, "Well, what happened to the people of America? What happened to them?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
So, Nicole, thank you for joining us tonight, and I want to thank everybody in the chat for joining us tonight. Thank you for the donations. Don't send them to YouTube, because YouTube, they got me blocked out completely. So help somebody out there who needs help out there. It's a lot of us out there who need a lot of help. Help your brothers and sisters out there. They need you. Everybody have a good night. We'll
Good
see you
night,
later.
everybody. Bye-bye.